Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, watching the stars drift slowly past the main screen. The exploration ship Horizon's Edge had been traveling through empty space for 3 weeks now. Their mission was simple: map the asteroid, fields near the edge of human space, and look for useful minerals. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. The ship was not very big compared to the military vessels back on Earth. It carried 43 people, scientists, engineers, and a few security officers. Most of them had never seen real combat. They were explorers, not fighters. The ship had some weapons, but they were meant for breaking up asteroids, not fighting other ships. Jake looked around the bridge. Lieutenant Amy Carter was at her communication station, listening for any signals from other ships. Chief Science Officer Dr. Ben Walsh was studying his computer screen, looking at data from their sensors. Commander Lisa Stone stood near the navigation controls, checking their course through the star charts. Everything seemed normal. Too normal. "Captain," Amy said suddenly, her voice sharp with concern, "I'm picking up something strange." Jake turned in his chair. "What kind of strange?" Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls. "There's an energy reading about 50,000 kilometers away. It's not like anything in our databases." Dr. Walsh looked up from his station. "Let me see those readings." He walked over to Amy's station and studied her screen. His face grew pale. "Captain, this energy signature is artificial. Something made it." "Made by who?" Jake asked. "There are no human ships in this area. That's just it," Ben said quietly. "It's not human." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. Humans had been traveling in space for over 200 years, but they had never found another intelligent species. They had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now it seemed they were about to find out. "How big is it?" Lisa asked. Ben returned to his station and ran more scans. "From what I can tell, it's massive. At least 10 times the size of our ship, maybe more." Jake felt his heart beating faster. "Can we see it?" "Not yet," Amy replied. "But it's moving. Toward us. Fast." Jake pressed a button on his chair. "All hands, this is the captain. Report to your stations immediately. We may have contact with an unknown vessel." The crew moved quickly through the ship's corridors. Everyone knew the emergency procedures, even though they had only practiced them in simulations. Security Chief Pete Murray made sure all the ships' weapons were ready, though everyone knew they were not designed for ship-to-ship combat. "Captain," Ben called out, "it's decloaking." The main screen flickered, and suddenly a ship appeared in space ahead of them. It was beautiful and terrifying. At the same time, the hull was made of some kind of crystal that reflected the light from nearby stars. It was shaped like a long blade, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water. Strange symbols glowed along its sides. "My God," Lisa whispered, "it's incredible." The alien ship was enormous. The Horizon's Edge would fit inside it many times over. Strange lights pulsed along its surface, and Jake could see smaller craft moving around it like tiny insects. "Are they trying to communicate?" Jake asked. Amy shook her head. "No signals, Captain. They're not responding to our attempts to make contact." Suddenly, the alien ship began to glow brighter. Beams of energy shot out from various points on its hull, all aimed at the human ship. "Shields up," Jake shouted. "They're not firing weapons," Ben said, studying his instruments. "These are scanning beams. They're examining our ship." The energy beams passed right through their shields, as if they were not there. Jake could feel a strange tingling sensation as the beams swept over the bridge. The lights flickered, and several computer screens showed strange symbols before returning to normal. "They're scanning everything," Lisa reported. "Our engines, our weapons, our computer systems, even our crew quarters. The scanning continued for 30 minutes. The alien beams examined every part of the ship from top to bottom. They seemed especially interested in the computer cores, where all the ship's information was stored. Jake wondered what they were learning about humanity from those files. Amy tried again and again to send messages to the alien ship. She used every communication method they had: radio waves, laser signals, even basic mathematical sequences. The aliens ignored all of them. "Captain," Ben said, his voice worried, "these scans are incredibly advanced. They're not just looking at our hull and equipment. I think they're reading our computer files directly." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Their computers contained everything: maps of human space, information about Earth and the colonies, military records, historical files. If the aliens could read all of that, they would know everything about humanity. "Can we stop them?" he asked. Pete shook his head. "Our weapons can't penetrate their technology. These scanning beams are more advanced than anything we have." The alien ship continued its examination. Jake watched helplessly as they studied his ship and crew like insects under a microscope. He wondered what the aliens thought of humans. Were they curious, hostile? Did they see humans as a threat or just another primitive species? Finally, after what felt like hours, the scanning stopped. The alien ship's lights dimmed, and the energy beams disappeared. For a moment, nothing happened. Both ships floated in space, watching each other. Then, without any warning or communication, the alien ship simply vanished. One moment it was there, massive and intimidating, and the next moment it was gone. The space where it had been was empty, except for stars. "Where did it go?" Lisa asked. Ben checked his sensors. "I don't know. It just disappeared. No engine signature, no energy trail. It's like it was never there." Jake stared at the empty space on the main screen. But it was there. And now they know everything about us. The bridge was quiet again, but this time it was a different kind of quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their first contact had not gone well. The aliens had learned everything about human civilization, but humans had learned almost nothing about them. Jake made a decision that would change everything. Set course for the nearest human colony. "We need to warn them." "Captain," Amy said softly, "what if they follow us?" Jake looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were ready to do their duty. "Then we'll deal with that when it happens. Right now, we need to get this information to Earth." The horizon's edge turned toward human space, carrying with it the news that would change humanity forever. They were not alone, and the aliens already knew far too much about them. Fleet Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, watching the data streams flow across dozens of screens. The Veltar Confederation had been expanding across the galaxy for over 800 years. In all that time, they had encountered 237 different intelligent species. Most of them followed predictable patterns. Some species were peaceful traders who welcomed contact with advanced civilizations. Others were aggressive warriors who fought briefly before accepting Veltar superiority. A few were too primitive to be worth considering as anything more than curiosities. The scanning of this new species should have been routine. The human ship they had, just EXAMINED, appeared completely ordinary at first glance. It was medium-sized, carried a small crew, and seemed to be designed for exploration rather than combat. Their technology was several generations behind Veltar standards. Their weapons were weak, their shields were primitive, and their engines were slow. Science. Coordinator Nalthys approached Zethkar with a datapad in her long, slender hands. "Commander, the initial analysis is complete. This species calls themselves humans, and they originate from a planet called Earth. Another typical discovery, Zethkar said without much interest. Add them to the catalog. We will decide later whether they are worth contacting officially. But Nalthys did not leave. She remained standing there, her large eyes showing an emotion that Zethkar had rarely seen in his science officer, Fear. "Commander," she said quietly, "I think you should review the deeper analysis yourself." Zethkar looked at her with surprise. Nalthys had been his science coordinator for 20 years. She had studied hundreds of species,